I have made gingerbread houses before, but for Jazza's competition, I wanted to go all out. I'm not good at drawing the stuff I got in my head on paper, so excuse that little scribble here, but that's the idea. A tower with a dragon on it, apparently getting ready for an attack. The only stuff that I really had to plan was the height and width of the tower to support that huge, epic dragon. Cause for Jazza, I either go big or go home. So here I got the carton mock-up to check if that could work out at all. A hexagon was making the most sense to make it look like a round tower, to be honest. I could have made the roof flat, but I had my fears that wouldn't support the dragon later on. The last test was the bricks I needed to make this look like a legit tower. Our damsel in distress needs a window to look out as well, so I cut out a piece for that too. Well then, I got to making my gingerbread. As usual, the recipe for that is in the description below. When that was prepared and rested a bit in the fridge, I started to cut out the pieces of the tower. Man, I didn't expect them to take that much dough. I ended up needing 2 batches only to get the tower done. Here you see that I leave some thin borders, which is a trick I saw of Anne Reardon's gingerbread house as well, to keep the border of the gingerbread as a corner and not just flatten out. And the thin pieces will be needed as support here and there anyways. Most importantly, I made many, and I stress this, many bricks. In total, more than 700 were used on this tower. Looking back, that sounds truly insane. The most satisfying part to record and watch later is the rising of the cookies in the oven. I hope you enjoy this too. When all the pieces were ready, I prepared an icing with water and, you guessed it, icing sugar. I'm totally eyeballing this as I need lots. Thank God I had bought a 5-kilo pack just before Jazza announced this competition. Lucky me. First things first, I needed to fix the broken pieces. Shit happens, and especially when you are in a hurry. And then I started with the first patience requiring task, laying the bricks. And cue the time lapse. Though the icing helped it a bit, the window pot was a bit too shaky, so I added popsicle sticks for extra support. Then I add a bit of dark chocolate to put the princess into her place at the window. As I was kinda scared of the whole structure's support, the whole gingerbread tower got a coating of dark chocolate to make it extra sturdy and, to be honest, make it extra yummy as well. To be able to assemble this, I asked my lovely assistant, my mom, to join me here, and we first cut the corners so that it has a chance to merge together. I'm not taking chances with cardboard as a base, so I'm sacrificing one of my cutting boards. And with lots of chocolate, the help of a second pair of hands, and the reference in cardboard form, the tower gets to stand tall. The roof gets the same treatment. First, cut the corners, get the chocolate out, and use some supports when needed to make it stand up and securely. At the end of the day, I was so glad when it stood sturdily. I am a perfectionist, so I took my gingerbread bricks and carefully filled up all the corners and closed them off. And as the tower is finally in one piece, I was able to add the last row of bricks at the top as well. Now that's what I call a decent tower. It's ready for attack. Then came the part where I had no idea what I was going to do. I wanted to go big, but I was scared that it wouldn't get supported. So I got the sturdiest wire I got at home, cut it to size, and tried to wrap it around so that it would look like the dragon I envisioned. 2 strips of thinner wire get onto this for the legs, and with lots of aluminum foil, I bulk out the dragon. Then, I guess with the 4th batch of dough, I cover most of the armature. As it has so much butter in it, it gets real sticky when it gets warm in your hands, and I must say, even though I made a bed with foil, the dough of the dragon dripped and fell apart while baking it. Thank God not everywhere, but still. In my second go, I patched up some places and covered up the rest of the dragon, but this time I wrapped the giant lizard up. It took longer to bake, but at least it didn't fall apart this time around. While that was in the oven, I took the rests and added some blue. A red dragon seemed so obvious and might even look bad once the scales get baked. So blue it was. But thanks to the molasses in the dough, the color never actually got the blue I initially wanted. It got more turquoise. If I wanted to get this color, I probably would never achieve that in one go. Don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining, I'm really enjoying this. With the dragon now completely baked came the part I dreaded the most, putting him into position. I called my mom over again so that we together scraped off some parts so that it would be snug on the tower. You got no idea how nervous I was and scared that it would fall apart in my hands. Whew. When I was happy with the position, I glued it on with my chocolate and patched a few places with it as well. First off, I made the tail, which I kept simple because I'm really running short on time. I even took an extra night shift to get it done. When I was happy with that, I started cutting out the scales. I had a leaf cutter which I turned upside down to have smooth corners and cut them and pressed them down to make them a tad thinner. After 2 pans of those, it was time to assemble! First the tailpiece and then all the scales. I had counted how many scales I prepared by then, which was 913 pieces. I figured that would be enough. Nope, I was dead wrong. I had to prepare another pan and ended up using more than 1,100 scales on this monster. It took me more than 12 hours to place them on the beast, and I was so glad a friend dropped by so that we could continuously work on this. When 99% of the scales were done, the roof got some pieces as well. A dragon attacks the tower, so not many pieces were left on it to look all pretty and decent. While I was baking the head, which I sadly had to make off camera because of the time lapses, I made the template of the wings. I had made this hat with the armature in mind, but you see how tiny that looks. So here comes the second and much bigger one. It gets placed on the hat piece with lots of chocolate as well, and so does the lower jaw too. Damn, I wish I had some wireless LEDs to make his mouth light up with flames. That would look so epic, man. Oh Jazza, you tormented me with this short deadline. To make the roof more distinct, I used some red food coloring and brushed it on. Not too much though, it is broken after all. And as a final touch, I got out my silver sparkly luster dust to cover the dragon a bit in it. I was super careful not to put too much, but he needed some. He was just a tad too matte for my taste, and I didn't want him to look like a fairy either. Now, the dreaded wings. I was so scared that they would just fall off, but thank God it was both cold and the wings light enough to stand on their own. When I was finally done, my hands were shaking like crazy because I was so stressed out. I even had to delete some footage because it was so shaky. Especially the last few days before actually getting even close to finishing this up. These here are actually the first few lines of script that I was writing just after wrapping up the shooting. I truly hope that you enjoyed this edible piece of art. And I hope when you see this video that it is on Jazza's channel. If not, that's alright too. I enjoyed making this, pondering with friends how it should look like, the support from them, the editing. It was quite an experience, as this is my biggest, or rather most detailed piece to date. Damn, my fingers are shaking again while writing this. Before I get all emotional, I just want to say that if I can make it, I will definitely add some footage of people actually breaking it apart to eat it. Which was the aim of it all along, to bring joy both to our eyes and to our bellies. Thank you for watching.